This thing right behind me is a monument to victims of the Nazis during World War II. You might be asking yourself, well, that's just a couple of benches there, where's the monument? Well, that is the monument. This thing is a monument to the Second World War right in the center of Vienna. In fact, we're so much in the center of Vienna that right there is the Prime Minister's office. And this thing over here is where the President lives. It doesn't always look like that. But this thing's got everything that every other monument has. It's got lengthy signs explaining what it's all about. It's got this own area that it's in that you can see here. The only thing is, the first time I came here, I actually sat on it. I had no idea what it was. It doesn't really look like much. But it's a monument to the Second World War. What the hell is going on here? This whole thing needs some more context, because that context explains a lot about how we ended up here. So, this monument is called the Denkmal für die Verfolgten der NS-Militärjustiz, or the Memorials for the Victims of Nazi Military Justice. But everyone just calls it the Deserteurs Monument. Because, see, during the Second World War, the Nazi military justice apparatus sentenced over 30,000 people to their deaths for what they called Fahnenflucht and Wehrkraftzersetzer. Now, that covered both desertion from the ranks specifically and any activities seen as being subversive of the regime's war aims more broadly. But at this point, maybe we should just take a step back and appreciate that there aren't a lot of monuments to deserters out there. I mean, think about it. Why would a state want to erect a monument to those who refused to obey its orders while it was leading war? But then again, we're not dealing with any state here, we're dealing with the Nazis. And Germans and Austrians' relationship to people who served in the Wehrmacht during the Second World is, well, it's a long story, actually. See, the reason why this probably made sense to you from the get-go is that you know that Germany, and since more recently Austria, have had a policy of repentance towards the actions of the Nazi regime. If you see the Nazi regime as evil, logically you see those who oppose it as doing good, ergo you build a monument to them. However, Germans and Austrians' attitudes towards deserters from the Wehrmacht have changed over time. After the war, right up until the 1980s, they were seen much as deserters were seen in any other country, as traitors, Verräter here, and Feiglinge, cowards. Only in the last few decades, as Germans and Austrians have begun engaging critically with their Nazi past, has this society come to see them differently, no longer as traitors and cowards, but as heroes and as victims. In 2009, then, the state of Austria declared all of the verdicts by the Nazi, the Wehrmacht military tribunals as invalid, legally rehabilitated their victims, and 5 years later, this monument was built. Now, the process leading to its construction was complicated and not without controversy, but in the end, this design by German artist Olaf Nicolai was chosen. It's basically a huge letter X to symbolize how executed deserters became faceless numbers in Nazi documents. And guess what? You're supposed to stand on it. Nicolai said that he wanted people to engage with the monument in this way. And when you get on top of it, you see that there's this poem inscribed on it, all alone everywhere. And you can, by the way, also now see that it is actually an X. It's meant to symbolize what it feels like to be a deserter in the Wehrmacht. You're suddenly all alone. Everyone around you is against you. Which, by the way, is an interesting thing to think about, because, well, where are we here? I already talked about the, Prime Minister's office and the place where the President lives, but this place over here, that's the so-called Heldenplatz, or Hero Square. That back there, that's the Imperial Palace. That's where the Emperor used to live. This is one of the most central squares in Vienna. And Hero Square has been a place where all the different regimes that have ruled Vienna over the last 100 years have commemorated their heroes. The whole thing was built by the Habsburgs over the course of the 19th century, starting in the 1820s. They actually didn't call it Hero Square, they called it the Outer Castle Square. It was kind of vernacularized by the general population, became Hero Square in their minds. The Habsburgs themselves, they just built two statues to two of their heroes here, Prince Eugene of Savoy and Archduke Charles. Eugene over here is probably best known for his role in lifting the Second Siege of Vienna, his successes during the Austro-Ottoman Wars, and during the Wars of the Spanish Succession. And Charlie here is best known for being the first person to ever defeat Napoleon on the battlefield. Well,
He did it like once and then lost immediately afterwards to him in another battle like a month later, but don't tell the architect. The bigger thing to note here is that this place became a place to commemorate military heroes. In the interwar years after World War I, a monument was erected to fallen World War I soldiers at the outer castle gate. And we've actually got an expert here to tell us a bit more about that.
Das ist ein Alleinstellungsmerkmal des Äußeren Burgtores, des österreichischen Heldendenkmals, dass wir hier ein gesamtstaatliches Denkmal haben für die österreichischen Gefallenen des Ersten Weltkrieges, für die österreichischen Gefallenen des Zweiten Weltkrieges. Wir gedenken auch hier den im Dienst zu Tode gekommenen Bundesheer, Soldaten. Die große Kulturwissenschaftlerin Aleida Assmann hat das Heldendenkmal auch bezeichnet als quasi Geschichte in der Nussschale. Wir haben hier sämtliche Schichten der Geschichte Österreichs, von der Monarchie, Erster Weltkrieg, über die Zwischenkriegszeit, über die Kanzlerdiktatur, über die Regierungsdiktatur bis zum Zeitraum des Nationalsozialismus und dann letztendlich bis rauf in die Zweite Republik, nahezu bis in die Gegenwart, wo das Äußere Burgtor, das österreichische Heldendenkmal, als Ort der Rituale, der staatlich-militärischen Rituale genutzt worden ist. Letztendlich ist es aber ein Prestigebau der Kanzlerdiktatur.
Wenn wir jetzt gehen, da den Heldenplatz uns im Generellen anschauen, das ist natürlich also das ist ein Bau des 19. Jahrhunderts hier oder ein Areal, das während des 19. Jahrhunderts entstanden ist. Wie kontextualisiert man da zum Beispiel dieses eine Denkmal hier in einem Ort, wo es ja auch verschiedene Denkmäler gibt?
Also grundsätzlich muss man sagen, dass es hier sich mit dem Heldenplatz um den quasi ersten Platz in der Republik handelt, durch die Nähe zu den Ministerien, zum Bundeskanzleramt, zur Präsidentschaftskanzlei. Deshalb hier auch dieser Platz so spannend. Letztendlich ist es ein Platz, der primär habsburgische und katholische Codes aufweist. Ja. Wenn wir uns überlegen, dass dieser Erinnerungsort noch immer eine Baustelle ist, eine erinnerungspolitische Baustelle, nämlich mit dem sogenannten Hitlerbalkon, also mit dem Altan, von wo aus Hitler am 15. März 1938 seine Anschlussrede gehalten hat vor einem frenetischen Publikum, dann sind das alles Dinge, die wir gemeinsam denken sollten.
So as we can see, Hero Square has this complicated legacy, being built and adapted and taken over by undemocratic regimes of all sorts. The inclusion of a deserted monument asks us a question. It reframes who a hero is. Suddenly it's no longer these soldiers that take part in these campaigns of conquest, but rather those who did not want to be and opted out and took risk to their personal self in not wanting to take part of these campaigns of conquest. In light of all this, my personal inability to discern that this is a monument feels like a problem. If we want to have people engage with this history, to ask these questions themselves, are these people heroes? Are the other people on this square heroes? Who are the real heroes here? They have to be able to understand what this is, if this is a monument. So, do they know it's a monument? Well, there's only really one way to find out. There it is. Okay, fantastic. Okay. Und wir schnipsen. I have to do the schnips so that it gets it. Okay, so I'm standing here with Marco. Marco, just a question to you. What's this thing?
I don't know, maybe stairs?
I have no idea.
Ich schätze mal ein Gemälde.
It looks like a structure that is made of building blocks.
Irgendein Kunstprojekt, das irgendeinem mehr oder minder sinnvollen oder nicht sinnvollen Zweck dient.
I guess it's something to remember.
Ehrlich gesagt, keine Ahnung, irgendein Denkmal für irgendwas.
Rein intuitiv würde ich sagen ein Mahnmal.
Also ich schätze mal, es erinnert mich ehrlicherweise ein bisschen an Berlin. Also ich schätze, hat es was mit Judenverfolgung zu tun?
Mir kommt vor, ich habe in den Nachrichten einmal gehört, dass das eine Darstellung oder eine Erinnerung an die verfolgten Juden sein soll.
Ein Mahnmal. Ja. Okay. Für was?
Könnte sein, dass es nach dem Zweiten Weltkrieg geschaffen wurde, die verfolgten Opfer oder sowas.
Ach, ich nehme mal an, da so am Ballhausplatz irgendwie Zu Gedenken der Republik, Entstehung der Republik, ich weiß es nicht.
What precisely do you think this historical monument is? If I tell you it's a historical monument.
That's a good one. I actually can't even put my finger on it.
What are we remembering?
I guess something from history, an event, or I don't know.
Well, then I'll just lift the mystery for you. It's the monument to people who deserted from the Wehrmacht, so the German army during World War II. Walking past it, is this what you think when you think deserters from the Wehrmacht?
I don't.
No, of course not.
Nein,
Nein, für Deserteure nicht.
Nein, hätte ich mir nicht gedacht.
Nein, ehrlicherweise nicht.
It doesn't represent what you are telling me.
Ich glaube, man braucht da ein bisschen Informationen.
Because I did not find the information right away.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that is it.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and I just walked by.
Dass ein Denkmal sein soll, weil sonst stelle ich nicht so viel Steine in die Gegend. Aber das für Deserteure, das habe ich nicht gewusst.
vor allem denke ich, dass es am Platz hier vollkommen falsch ist, weil wenn, dann hätte ich es unten an den Morzinplatz gesetzt, wo das NSDAP-Hauptquartier war. Ich glaube, es zeigt relativ eindeutig die Einstellung der Republik Österreich zum Thema Deserteure innerhalb des äußeren Regimes.
Inwiefern? Was erkennen Sie da, wenn Sie das anschauen?
Na, gar nichts. Genau gar nichts. Das ist ein Beton. Also,
Ja.
okay, ich bin kein kunstaffiner Mensch, das tut mir jetzt wahnsinnig leid. Also vielleicht sehe ich die tiefere innere Bedeutung dieses Betonwürfels nicht.
Stellen Sie sich so ein Denkmal für Deserteure vor?
Es ist ein bisschen hart.
Do you think this symbolizes deserters during World War II?
Clearly not by itself, because it's just various steps leading to I don't know where.
Maybe you need to view it from the drone view.
Well, let's take a look. Well,
Yes.
how about we do that? Let's take a look. Come on, take the camera. Follow me. Okay. What do you think now?
It's better up here.
Now it's different.
Does this make you think of the Wehrmacht Deserteure?
Kind of, yes.
It speaks about loneliness during the war. I don't know.
Denkst du da an Deserteure?
Nee.
I guess it should remind us of the fact that not a lot of people really stood up against the Wehrmacht.
Es war sicherlich eine Desertation, auch was hat das.
Okay.
Und du
Ja.
musst rundherum gehen, ob das von deiner anderen Seite anders ausschaut.
Wieso nicht auch draufgehen?
Nein, da steige ich nicht drauf.
Warum nicht, wenn ich fragen darf?
Nein, wenn das ein Denkmal ist, auf ein Denkmal steige ich nicht drauf.
Du bist noch nie rundherum gegangen oder sowas?
Rundherum gegangen schon und manchmal gerade im Sommer sitzt man ja auch irgendwie drauf.
Wieso sagst du das so? Hast du das Gefühl, du sollst nicht drauf sitzen?
Naja, so auf einem Denkmal, also wenn da jetzt so eine Statue stehen wird von einem Soldat, würde ich nicht auf die Idee kommen, mich darauf hinzusetzen.
Would you have gone up these steps if I hadn't told you to?
I would not be sure if it was allowed.
Maybe you need to put a sign that tells you that you need to go upstairs.
A bit more of contextualization would be nice.
Hättest du dich mehr damit eigentlich auseinandergesetzt, wenn wir dich jetzt nicht aufgehalten hätten?
Nein.
Nein.
Ja, wie gesagt, ich wollte es mir durchlesen, was es ist, weil ich es heute das erste Mal gesehen habe und mir gedacht habe, aha, interessant, kenne ich noch nicht.
Also ich habe mir eben jetzt gedacht, man geht so oft vorbei und da steht dieses Schild da und jeder weiß, das Schild steht da, aber dass man sich's mal durchlässt, ne.
Okay, klar. Dann wären einfach vorbeigegangen.
Naja, das ist irgendwie aus meiner Sicht typisch. Die Leute sind halt mit irgendwelchen Dingen konfrontiert, die haben ein Ziel oder sowas vor Augen und dann will er das Ziel verfolgen. Ne? Und dann denkt er nicht bei jedem Baum oder bei jedem Platz oder so nach, was da jetzt gerade ist. Ne?
Also ich gehe hier im Schnitt 5 bis 8 Mal in der Woche vorbei.
Ja.
Ich habe noch nie darüber nachgedacht. Wenn Sie mich jetzt fragen, seit wann dieser Betonwürfel hier ist, keine Ahnung. Also ich hätte vermutet, dass im Rahmen der Umgestaltung hier in den letzten paar Jahren der dazugekommen ist. Wenn der seit 20 Jahren da ist, ist er seit 20 Jahren da.
Like, would it have made you think about that history at all?
It would not have, not at all.
Okay.
No, because for me it's something I have no sense. So.
Okay, I think no.
Okay.
And I'm told, so.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
That's it. That's everything. Fantastic. Danke sehr. Das ist alles. Danke sehr für deine. Okay.
I just got done with editing the video. Is this better? No, kind of. Focus on me here, wait. There we go. Yeah, I just got finished with the editing process. It's currently the night before the deadline. I don't know, I just feel like some concluding thoughts here. I mean, it wasn't entirely unexpected, but at the same time kind of damning how little people knew about it. But I guess it also like kind of shows us that, you know, this whole thing, we live in an attention economy. You know, people don't have all the time in the world to walk around and inform themselves of things. I mean, I heard recently it was in our course, wasn't it? Like this thing about like these huge walls of texts in museums are a bad thing. Well, that's exactly what that sign is. Olaf Nicolai, the artist, definitely had the best of intentions in mind, but I feel like he overanalyzed everything way too much. I feel like he radically overestimated the amount of attention that people would give that thing. I forget where this citation comes from. There's nothing as invisible as a monument. And if you can't even tell that it's a monument, nobody's gonna engage with that kind of history. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say there. So thank you to Daniel, Julia, Klemens, and Ishan for doing an absolutely fantastic job on this. And yeah, let me know what you guys think.